Welcome back to Gardenwise Adventures. Today we're going to continue on with my design series. Today we're going to cover environmental issues. So there are different environmental issues that everybody needs to look at on their properties. There could be insect issues, there could be animal issues. Do you have pets that you need to accommodate? Do you have animals like deer that come and eat your plants? So let's look through my property really quickly because it is getting kind of dark, and see what environmental issues that I am going to have to be aware of when I create my design. Here we are in my front yard, and one of the environmental issues that I have to pay attention to is definitely deer. We have a lot of deer in this neighborhood that come through and they will eat my plants sometimes. So for that reason, I have got to watch my tulips. I cannot plant tulips here and expect them to live very well. As for other animal or insect issues, I haven't noticed very many other than cats. We do have a lot of cats. We have quail that like to kind of mess up the dirt, and dust bathe. So it really helps to have as much of the ground covered as possible so that the cats don't want to dig and the quail don't want to wallow. As for other insect issues, I haven't noticed too many problems. I think part of the reason that I don't have problems with insects is there's a lot of diversity in my yard. And we'll talk a little bit about that more next year. But one way to control insect issues is to have a variety of plants. As you can see, I live on a corner. That is an environmental issue that I need to think about. I have this long hill up here. People like to walk down the sidewalk and peer into my yard, so I needed to block the view from my yard. We get snow that piles up in front of my place. So, snow removal is another thing that you need to think about. Most cities don't like you throwing snow onto the street, so you need to think about areas where you can pile snow. That's not an issue that a lot of people think about. Another environmental issue that I have that I've worried about a little bit more than I should is at the top of this hill, we used to have an open culvert that water would flow down. I used to worry about that breaking. There's also a high pressure water pipe up at the top of that hill, and that's another possibility that could break. But is it going to actually break in an area where it's going to flood my yard? Well, I'll see if I can find the video that I took. But a few years ago, we actually did have that pipe break at the end of the street.
They have big valves where they can isolate a large section of the pipe and drain that section.
So yes, do you have high pressure water pipes that go through your yard? Do you have easements? You need to look into your city regulations. Are there rules for fences? Are there easements that you can't plant over? You need to talk to Blue Stakes. Call them and find out where all your wires are, where your gas lines are, because yes, you can hit gas lines digging for irrigation pipes. We actually had that happen also in our neighborhood. One of the neighborhood kids was trying to fix a break in a pipe, an irrigation pipe, and accidentally hit the gas line. Had to close down and evacuate the neighborhood until they could get that shut off. So that's an environmental issue. Like I've said before, views to block, like the house behind me, and views to leave, like the mountains behind my house. Other environmental issues to think about are your soils. What kind of soil do you have? This right here is a good example of what my soil looks like without topsoil on top of it. It is almost pure rock. When I tried to dig my garden beds over here, it took a pickaxe and a crowbar. I could not dig into the soil with a shovel. So you have to think about that. Do you have salty soils? Getting a soil test done is a great idea. I'll put a link down below to the Utah State Soil Labs so that you can, if you need a soil test, you can get a soil test. It'll tell you, what minerals and nutrients you're lacking, what are in your soil already, and whether or not you have alkaline soil or salty soil. You can learn a lot through the soil tests. Other environmental issues to pay attention to is where is the shade on your property? where is the sun? So this is the north side of my house. That area right by that window, I really need to be careful what I plant there because it gets very heavy shade. This hill right here with my garden beds, it's facing west. There's north over there. So they're on the south side of a fence and they are sloping down towards the west. So this is the perfect place to get a large amount of sun, all the sun my garden beds need here. But the other thing to pay attention to is drainage. If I hadn't been careful about planting my garden beds, they would have been planted on the slope and the water would have run off the top of the beds. So I used a level and made my beds as level as possible. So you look at the slope, look at the drainage, look at where the sun and shade are. Another thing to think about is microclimates. Cold air especially, flows like water. So it will flow down and pool in low areas. So you can actually have a few degrees temperature difference in different parts of your yard. So there's environmental conditions to think about there also. So go out and look at your yard and see what type of environmental conditions you have. Do you have views or neighbors that need to be blocked, or views or neighbors that you would like more access to? Are there bugs or animals? Do you have pets that you need to accommodate? Are there erosion issues? All blue stakes. Make sure that you know where all of the utility lines are and gas lines. Look at that before you start your design, because that will actually help you avoid a lot of problems. Now, let me know if you like these videos. Please subscribe, share them. I am going to be continuing these videos all winter long. And what we're working towards is the ability to create a really good design. I'm glad that you're coming along on this adventure with me, and go enjoy your week.